Hello lovely people, and welcome to this week's video at the Art Hive, where today I'm going to be doing a product review of Dr.Ph.Martin's Bombay inks. And as you can see here, I've got set 1 and set 2 of the Bombay inks, and they come in these little half-size bottles which are plastic, and in the stand they can be used to stand up, and you can also use these as a little palette. I also thought it would be a bit more fun, rather than just doing product swatch testing, to draw this panda, which is the last picture that I will be drawing for the month of Inktober this year. And I am using, to start with, a Derwent Inktense pencil just to mark out on my picture the darkest areas of this panda before I go in and add the water. So what can I say about these Dr.Ph.Martin inks? Well, I was sent these as a complimentary gift when I ordered some of the Hydrus watercolours, because I think the Amazon warehouse in the UK that I ordered them from had a problem with them, and so as a gesture of goodwill, the company that's based in America sent me these 2 sets to try out for free. So it's not sponsored, and my opinions are honest opinions, and I'm not getting paid to say anything, so it is an honest opinion. So the good thing about these is that obviously, as you can see, there's a wide variety of colours, and they can be used for all sorts of different things. So they can be used, as I'm doing here, more like a watercolour for watercolour drawings and paintings. They also say that they can be used in calligraphy pens, but I haven't used them for this, and they do say that it won't clog any of your calligraphy pens, but obviously I'm not product testing that particular area today, so I can't really say for that. They can also be used for airbrushes and technical drawings, illustrations and designs. So the main features for these inks then are that they are light fast, or claim to be light fast and archival. So that means that once you've done your picture or your painting, that they should last for a jolly long time. They are also waterproof, which I think is the biggest advantage, or the biggest selling point for me for these inks, because I'm used to using watercolour, and throughout the month of October and experimenting with different inks, I found this waterproof characteristic to be a real bonus, because unlike watercolours, once the inks are dry, they don't move. So even if you add water on top of them afterwards, they don't lift or blur, or they don't sort of muddy the colours that you're putting on top of them. So I think that's a real advantage, because say like with this panda, I can draw in the black for the eyes, and then I can still add in afterwards, once that ink is dry, another layer of a different colour, and they don't sort of go all muddy, and you can just overlay them without that worry, which is a really nice feature. So drawing this panda was a bit of an experiment for me, because I don't normally do paintings that are more loose in style, I suppose, and so I just thought I'd experiment and have a bit of fun with it. And you can see, like, by adding the different colours, how that they mix together on the paper, and they do mix really well on the paper if you're doing like the wet in wet technique. You can also mix them in the palette before you apply them, and I think they're quite flexible with that. So I've got the sets that are the ½ ounce size sets, and they do also come in a 1 ounce set, and I think the 1 ounce set bottles are glass, and they do come with a pipette. So I think the only disadvantage with these smaller sizes is that they are plastic bottles and they don't come with a pipette, but that's not really a big problem. And I mean, you can buy the pipette separately, and also if it's something that you're trying for the first time, it's a good idea to try the smaller size before you spend money on getting the larger sizes. So a bit about the prices. The 12 set that I've got, the ½ ounce set, would normally on Amazon set you back about £25, And for the larger 1 ounce sets that are in the glass bottles with the pipettes, they would range, I think they're on offer at the moment, about £35, and that's if you've got Amazon Prime, but the full price can range up to about £45 or £50, I think. So if it's something that you want to try for the first time, then I'd really recommend getting the smaller bottles. And as I said, you can just use a little plastic pipette, or even just dip your paintbrush into the bottle and get the ink out that way. And you can actually mix them on the paper itself if you're using the wet on wet technique, or you can mix them in the palette first if you want to put 2 colours together, or water down the colour that you want. So one thing I would say about these is that they do live up to their name, and they are really pigmented. So that's something that they advertise, that they are highly pigmented, and I would definitely agree with this, because you only need a small amount. A little goes a long way with these. So even if you were to buy these smaller pack sizes, it would last you a really long time. So the other thing I liked about them is that you can layer these colours and you can build them up. And in my experimental panda picture here, I'm just trying out using different colours and mixing them together on the actual paper. And that gives a really nice effect when you can sort of layer all these different colours together and see the way that they mix. So this was a bit of an experiment for me. As I say, it's not my normal style. Normally I like to have things a bit more controlled when I'm painting, but this was quite interesting to watch how the ink spread and worked together. But obviously the same with watercolour is that the ink will only go where the water is that you've put down. So it's really good to have a play around with it and see how it goes down on the paper and how the colours mix together. So the other thing that it says on the packaging about the inks is that they are acid free and non-toxic. So that's always a good thing. And if they're acid free, I'm guessing that's partly why they are archival, so they won't change on the paper, and your pictures will stay the same bright pigmented colours for a long time. So here I'm just adding a little bit of white on top of the black to get a little bit more light introduced into the lightest areas and the highlights. And again, it's just a Derwent Inktense pencil, so if I was to add water to this, it would turn into an ink the same as the Bombay inks. And this was really useful, I thought, just to be able to get a bit more control over things like the whiskers. And then I'm just going in with my fine liner, just again to do some eyelashes and some more whiskers. So I did really enjoy doing this piece, and I really did enjoy working with the inks, and it's definitely something I'm going to be experimenting a little bit more with in the future. Because normally a painting like this, if I was doing it in watercolours, or certainly if I was doing it in pastels or pencils, it would take me a lot longer than the hour and a half that this painting took me. So it's a great way of experimenting, doing things a little bit more loosely than I'm used to, and I really enjoyed the way the colours blended together. If I had to say a downside of the Bombay inks or ink in general as a medium for watercolours, then I would say that the drying time, it's a lot faster than it is with watercolours, and so I did find that if you were laying colours down and you wanted to mix colours in with them, or you wanted a more smooth gradient between colours, then you had to work a little bit faster than perhaps you might be used to, or certainly that I was used to working with watercolours. And so on my pieces you can see there are sort of lines, I suppose, between the colours that I've added, and maybe if you wanted smoother gradients you could either work faster, add more water, or maybe try watercolours instead. Or maybe just experiment. Maybe it's just my lack of experience with these inks, but I still quite like the effect that it's given. And at the end of the painting I just tilted the board slightly, and just to give it a few more effects there, so just brushing up with the paintbrush and blending those colours together some more. So I have really enjoyed doing this piece, and I hope you've enjoyed watching it. And if there's any comments that you've got on using Bombay inks to paint in watercolour style, then please drop them in the comments box below, and hopefully I will see you next week for another video. So thanks for watching, please subscribe, and I'll see you all soon. Bye!